Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rangers Review Morning Briefing. It is Wednesday, the 7th of August. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined by a full squad. First of all, Joshua Barry, live from Poland. How's it going, Joshua?
Yeah, good. Not as much sleep, but it was a better watching Rangers last night compared to Saturday, wasn't it? So plenty to talk about with you both.
Absolutely. And Stevie Clifford also joins us for the first time this week. How goes it, Stevie?
Yeah, live from Barhead, and it's absolutely teaming it down. So, good morning, everyone. It's amazing how much a wee goal can lift the spirits, everyone. So, delighted to be here. Looking forward to discussing last night.
Yeah, magic. Excellent. And before I forget, a big shout out to Grado, who's looking for a shout out. Nice wee message from last night. He, certainly would like to have been where he was. That's for sure. But I know he tunes in religiously every morning. So, big shout out to Big Grado. So, fantastic stuff. Right, let's talk all things Rangers, shall we? Last night, Joshua, you were in the Lublin Arena. Rangers with a 1-1 draw against Dynamo Kyiv, a stoppage time equaliser from Cyril Dessers, leaving the second leg finally poised as we head to Hampden on Tuesday, next Tuesday, of course. And we got you for a brief moment before he went down and spoke to Philip Clement afterwards on the full-time instant reaction show last night. But what was your big takeaways? I know you haven't had much sleep, but that Dessers goal certainly changes the perplexion of somewhat of the game.
Yeah, well, my family love Two Doors Down, so they'll be delighted to know that Grado's watching the morning briefing. But I think that two things stood out to me, Derek, from last night. Number one was overall, Clement needed a bit of a performance and a result on the back of Saturday. It's going to take Rangers time. A rebuild doesn't happen in a month, but equally you can't afford to have an August where this whole line about will be better come September, come October. That obviously doesn't really work if you don't do stuff in the intervening period. And I thought last night he got the performance for quite a lot of the game. Listen, it wasn't a incredible European away performance, but when you consider the context and you consider the fact that Dynamo Kyiv had put 9 past Partizan Belgrade, I think Clement would have taken a 1-1 draw before the game, and obviously late on he gets the result as well. But the two things that stood out for me, Derek, was number one, the importance of wide players in Clement's team. We'll come on to speak about the changes made at halftime. But I thought you saw that last goal in particular shows the difference when you have individual quality out wide. I thought Ross McCausland actually had a good first half, but in general, if you looked at the game at Tynecastle in particular, I thought Rangers really struggled in wide areas. It made the world of difference when you had someone like Shefty who was aggressive with the ball, carrying the ball forward, especially in that transition moment. Vaclav Cherney, I thought he was actually pretty slack on the ball for a lot of the kind of 40 minutes he played. Clearly still getting up to speed, but he delivers that moment of quality, doesn't he? And secondly, again, as we'll come on to discuss, I thought off the ball Rangers looked a lot better. There were still a few occasions in the first half, and I know Clement spoke about this on Rangers TV, still a few occasions in the first half where it felt like Kyiv were getting into the Rangers box too easily and they were breaking through the press in moments. But in general, I thought that Rangers were more aggressive, able to disrupt them higher up the park. And as a result, they looked a lot more cohesive on the ball because they were winning it in better areas. So a better night, not an incredible performance, not anything more than a good performance, but it sets up what should be a winnable second leg, what should then get more money in the bank for the end of the transfer window if Rangers can finish the job next week at Hampden.
Yeah, Stevie, when the team was announced, I'm not the only one that felt slightly apprehensive about what was about to unfold in Poland, but I think the manager and the players deserve a great deal of credit, don't they, for getting that result?
Yeah, they most certainly do. And when the team was announced last night, I couldn't help but think that this would be a team that if you put it out for a League Cup game, you would be slightly concerned about what we were watching. And I think that's because we've just been let down by certain individuals quite a lot. And I think a lot of us felt like that. Certainly on here, there was a lot of...
Oh, you've muted yourself, but...
I don't know why I did that. There was a lot of over-top reaction, but certainly, when it was announced, there was, it's interesting because it's easy to say now, isn't it, that Clement got his changes right and that, and we'll come to that. But maybe we should be giving him a wee bit of credit for foresight of how he thought the game would go. So maybe he's starting it not weakened, but he's leaving options that he can use from the bench if the game goes a certain way. And to be fair to him, he got it spot on last night, the manager, because he's taken a lot of credit. A lot of it's been really unhealthy, and a lot of it's been really unfair on social media. So I'm really pleased for him. And the bottom line was that the team got a magnificent result. Derek, did I fancy the 11 that he put out? Absolutely did not. There would be I'd be lying if I said otherwise. But changes the way he did it really affected the team, and I must admit he got it spot on. So there's a lot of work to be done there, Derek, isn't there, Joshua? We know that there's a lot of signings needed. There's a lot of players needed to come into that, but I thought he used what we had from the bench very effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. Joshua, you watched it live. Homer with a point. I was surprised at how average Kyiv were, how average they were to what I expected. You mentioned, they absolutely destroyed Partizan Belgrade in the previous round, 9-2 on aggregate. I was expecting more from them as well, I've got to admit. Watching the game, sort of felt relaxed and comfortable, even when they went a goal down, Rangers. I didn't think it was going to turn into, as I said to Chris last night, an Eindhoven Mark II. So you've got to believe that, this Rangers team can go and finish the job next week. But were you expecting more from the opposition last night?
Yeah, I think I was. But what I think Rangers did to influence that was they didn't really let them play. They didn't let them. Often, you go away in a European tie and you maybe sit off for the first 20 minutes and try and not concede a goal. But Rangers felt like the home. Now, I know that Kyiv weren't technically the home team either, but you take my point.
Yeah.
It felt as if Rangers were the team that they were hosting the game, so to speak, with the way that they kept the ball and their aggression of it. I just feel like, obviously, style of play, the topic of Clement's shape on and off the ball has been a big talking point last night. Again, a big talking point in general. I don't think last night answers it. I don't think it's a definitive, that's what it is, no questions asked. But I thought last night was a step in the right direction. At points on the ball, I thought the link-up play in the middle was better. The wide players, as mentioned in that second half in particular, you see that when you do have 1v1 threats out wide who can carry the ball forward, that's something that, especially in the last couple of months of last season, Clement just didn't have when you're playing Fabio Silva out there and Dujon Sterling, who came into the game and immediately reminds everyone what a good player he is. But I don't think his best position is on the right wing. Is that you getting a parcel there?
Yeah, it's the messy. She keeps buying stuff. So I've just instructed the mailman to just leave it there.
Brilliant. There you go. Type of coverage you get on the Rangers review. Yeah. But anyway, Clement, these wingers, I think that is a point.
Yes.
And I said after the Hearts game, I thought it was a bad performance. Bad's maybe a bit hard. I thought it was a bad performance because Rangers' last shot was on 60 minutes. I didn't think they dominated the game. But equally, I think a lot of the conversation that we had around that afterwards was, okay, and Stevie said this as well in his columns, okay, that's all well and fair, but we've still not seen Clement really have a full-strength starting 11. When he came to the club, he didn't have a team that was suited to his style of play. Those wingers, that's been such a big topic for me, but also when his team are aggressive. If you remember what was the game? Was it Sparta Prague? Rangers won at home early in Clement's tenure. Danilo scored, and off the ball then that night they looked really good, and we maybe haven't seen it look like that in large parts towards the end of last season, when that intensity that you mentioned was lacking in the first half against Hearts, for example, when Rangers weren't winning their duels, can leave them very open. And by the way, you saw that for the goal because of the way they defend, because it's very man-orientated. When Ridvan makes a mistake, the Rangers aren't crowding around the ball; they're going man for man, which means that you can leave yourself open. Pardon me, to those mistakes. But yeah, to answer your question, can Rangers beat Kyiv based on last night? Absolutely. And you'd be saying that if they don't, on the basis of last night, when they are taking the game back to, again, it's not home, but it's a more familiar game for them at Hampden, and then that would be a missed opportunity again because of the financial implications that are attached again into the playoff round. Yeah,
we're going to discuss Cyril Dessers shortly, Stevie, but you wrote in your column at the tail end of last week about the additions of Proper and Czerny. Czerny in particular came on and he assisted with a wonderful cross into the penalty area. It's that sort of increase in standard of footballer that Rangers have brought in. Now, I don't think he's anywhere near the levels that he would want to be fitness-wise, but that's the reason these guys have been brought in, just to produce moments like that. It was a wonderful cross, wasn't it?
It was funny because a good old Scottish term coming up for you, Derek. I thought he was honking. He kept giving the ball away, and he was very frustrating. And you're sitting going, this guy's miles away from being up to speed. And why do we sign players that need about 8 months to settle in? And you're starting with all these wee voices in your head going in overdrive. And then he produces, doesn't he? And what I liked about that moment was there was no thought process. Get it down, touch, whip it in, right? And he's just hitting an area. That's all he's doing. And for once, and this is something that was really frustrating me at the weekend. See that one where Rabbi Matondo at the weekend heads it back across and Dessers is just standing still. Get in there. Make the run. Just gamble. And he gambled, right? And when he gambled and got in between the defenders, what happens? He just produces a lovely moment. And then there's all these thoughts in your head saying, well, he's probably offside. And because, that's what always happens with the big boy. But listen, he deserved that moment. I thought he was unlucky with his header last night, the one where Hefty whipped it in and he angled it right in the corner. I thought that was going in, so he deserved his little moment. But those are the moments, Derek, that we've lacked from wide for quite a while, and it was just that touch. And this is something that I wanted to discuss a wee bit with Joshua as well. We've now got a different type of wide man in Tierney and in Yefty, or we did for that period last night, where two players predominantly want to beat their man and cross. And we've not had that in a very long time. And Joshua mentioned Sima. He mentioned Silva as being different type of players, and they are, because they're, forward thinking. They want to get in boxes. They want to score goals. But, last night it was a different kind of moment. And weirdly, I can't remember a left winger too many times wanting to do that at Rangers since the likes of Neil McCann, just standing up your defender, beating him, whipping it in. And that's not in a comparison of ability or anything like that. It's absolutely not. I'm just saying that it was a throwback to the old school kind of winger days where players just wanted to take their man, beat him, and get a very early cross in and allow the attackers something to hit. And, credit to Cyril Dessers. He's not had that in his year-long time that he's been at Rangers. He's not had those type of players. He's not had a backup player. He's not had players around him to suit his style. And he still managed to get, a fair amount of goals last season, 22-23. And then he's popped up with a vital moment, which he deserved. He could have had 3 on Saturday, which was frustrating, as Cyril can be. I thought his link-up play last night at times was better. And then I thought at times it was predictably as you would expect. That one where Diamandi wins it, plays it, and he ends up just passing it. When we had, I think, a 4-on break in the first half. And he ends up just passing it to no one. And you're just sitting going, why do you do this to me? He's so frustrating. But he deserved his big moment. But getting back to Tierney, it was a wonderful moment, Derek. Just touch, cross, make that inch of space, whip it straight in. And that's what you pay for. But I do think, in general, I think he's a wee bit off. I think he's still got a wee bit of fitness to go and get used to it. And he was extremely loose on the ball, extremely loose. In fact, I think he gave it away quite a bit. And you were very frustrated with that. But you pay for quality, don't you? Pay for those moments. And if we can get a few more of those moments, then it'll look a lot better for us.
Yeah, the goal itself was fantastic. As Damo says, Dessers started that move in the halfway line last night. Brilliant breakaway from Rangers. The sort of European goal that we witnessed quite a lot down the year. So it was good to see that again last night. On the other side, of course, you mentioned it, Joshua, on Jefty. CDM55 says it may have stumbled on a good combo in Ridvan and Jefty. They seem to work well together. King Charles Spaniel says Jefty's crosses were excellent, miles better than Wright. I've got to say I was surprised that Scott Wright started the game on the left. If he'd started on the right and McCausland on the left, then I would sort of understand it. I had Jefty in my predicted team, and it was good to see the manager make that change at half-time. And like Tierney with the balls into the box, Joshua, I think there they were really good. Whipped in, not much thinking about them. He likes to take a man on, does Jefty. Think defensively, we've seen in pre-season there are question marks over him, but playing at left wing in place of Cortez, I think that is the route for the manager to go down.
On the basis of last night, yeah, I mean, we spoke about it in the lead up to the game, didn't we? And I think Stevie's right on the stylistic point again, that Rangers just Clement has not had ball carriers in those positions. And I actually think tellingly last night, I know Matondo came on at the weekend, but I thought it was pretty telling that Clement, instead of picking his out-and-out left winger, he played, as you say, Scott right there and Chefty, which probably tells you what he thinks of the options he had last season. We know what Matondo can do in moments, but we also know that he's not been reliable. But I think we spoke about this with Chefty. If you look back at the scout report we did, the fact that he does carry the ball, I think one of the phrases we use, he carries the ball like a winger. Defensively, I think we saw in pre-season that he's maybe not, always going to protect the back post brilliantly yet. He's only 20 years old. But on the basis of last night, I think he does start because he's confident he can carry the ball over space, and he looks like a natural fit in that position. That's what I'd kind of summarise. How I'd summarise Clement's time so far. How often has he had a starting 11 where you think, yeah, you've got 11 players there that are in their natural positions. They're not covering, they're not playing out of position, they're not doing a role that they're learning for the first time. You've not got, Dowell and Lawrence in central midfield, Sterling on the right wing, Fabio Silva on the left wing. It is these small details that make a difference, because if you take that move last night, let's consider that Dessers takes the ball down well, Chefty moves it wide, but then instead of an excellent left-footed cross, you've just got someone hitting it into an area with their right foot, and the quality maybe isn't there. Then we're just talking about a move that's broke down in the final stages. It is those small moments of quality, as Stevie says, Cherney in his natural position, in a natural area, doing something he's done 100 times before, instead of playing in a game in a position he's not used to and trying to think on the spot. I think that's a really important detail. Another important detail, it came from a throw-in. You've both sat next to me at games. You know that the thing that winds me up, Stevie will testify to this, more than anything, most things in life, is when the ball goes up the line, you play for territory, instead of trying to keep the ball, instead of trying to create something. And Rangers create that goal, as they did away in Real Betis. I think it was the Dessers goal on that night as well, wasn't it? That Jose Cifuentes was a part of, if memory serves me correctly. It came from a throw-in. It was a quick transition forward, and it was made, I think, by players being in their natural positions, a la Cherney on the right wing, as opposed to the square pegs and round holes that we've seen for a lot of Clement's time at the club so far.
Yep. Des was the man of the moment. This is what the manager had to say about him in his press conference last night.
7 months developed a lot in many assets because he wants to learn. Although he's not 20 years anymore, he's 29 now, I think, but he takes on every information. I only see him grow the last couple of months in several things that we discussed, that we trained, that we worked on. So I think we will get a lot out of him this season, and he's going to be very important for the squad.
Now the manager's saying he thinks he'll get a lot out of him this season, Stevie. Do you think he's going to stick around, do you reckon?
Do
you like to see him stick around?
I think that if you got a big offer from him, I think that the club wouldn't be too difficult if the club got their money back, perhaps. I do expect there to be interest in him in the coming weeks, but you know what? We give the big man pelters, don't we? But he's always there. Like, he's durable, he's resilient, he just picks himself up and he gets on with it, and he takes some amount of criticism. I thought that lesser players could be affected by what goes on around Cyril Dessers in press conferences and things, where you've got questions coming to your teammates, to the manager, that are pretty unfair on him, and he could be affected by all that. But you know what? The guy just laughs his way through it. He just smiles and he gets on with it, because he knows that he's there. And I know that he's got a very good big supporter on our platform in Shona. And she was delighted for him last night, for his moment, and so was I, because we need them to do that. Whoever our 9 is has to take the opportunities. And do you know what? As frustrating as we were on Saturday, and I've not been on since, he still had 3 opportunities, right? Barron had a shot, Lawrence had a shot, Matondo was in, Diamandi's header. As bad as we were on Saturday, Joshua, there were still 6 or 7 opportunities where we could have scored a goal. Now, last night, we were knocking on the door without maybe ever looking likely. I think maybe not like Joshua says, that there wasn't too much being created in the final kind of half hour where you wanted that onslaught. There wasn't too much, but there were still signs that Rangers were having the better of it. And what I thought we did last night actually was patiently move it much better side to side. It was a bit more pacey. They were getting spaces either side. They were freeing up Tavernier on the right, and they were freeing up FD on the left to get those moments. And the breakaway was 6 passes, wasn't it, for the goal? So Dessers manages to play it off and then get into the box for it. So would I like the big man to stay? Listen, if the big man scores the goals, I think everybody would like him just to keep going and do that. But, you know, it's the frustrating moments with Cyril that probably get more headlines than the big moments like he deserves last night. But good on him, because, as I said, he's very durable. He's got the right attitude. Mentally, he's got what you want, because he doesn't shy away. He doesn't take the criticism. He doesn't hide. He just keeps going and he responds. And listen, I've said it before and I'll say it again. He's certainly got the balls to play for Rangers, Cyril Dessers, that's for sure. So good on him. And that was a lovely moment for him last night when we really needed something, because it changes the complex. Because all of a sudden we went from, well, it was an okay performance and we're still in the tie, to a pretty good performance. We're right in the tie. So, you know, it's a huge moment in terms of that, and it changes the complex completely.
Yeah, but Shona gets in touch, Stevie. She says, Stevie, be careful what you say about Dessers or I'll be having words. So nice words there on Big Cyril. So I'm sure you'll escape her wrath. But good to have you tuning in, Shona. Just on Dessers, Steve says, desperate for our support to get behind Dessers and shift the narrative. Hopefully this season he gives us a season to remember. Kev's not having him, though. It says Dessers still not the answer. Needs 6 tries to score. If we don't upgrade that position, we win nothing. Where do you stand on Dessers, Joshua? I am of the opinion, pretty much where I was with Antonio Cholak a couple of seasons ago. If he's happy sticking around, I think he can contribute, and I have no qualms with him being a contributor to the squad. Whether he is first choice, I would still like Rangers to strengthen in that area. But given the choice, I mean, Danilo's nowhere near fit enough, of course, just coming back from that knee injury. Rangers would have to have had a replacement or replacements lined up if they're looking to sell him.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about Dessers taking 6 chances to score, the issue I kind of have with some of the narrative about Dessers sometimes is that no striker scores every opportunity, and that is a bit of a cliche argument to come back with. Where I do agree with what the point that Kev is making is that if you take last season, Dessers overperformed along with Butland for the first couple of months in 2024, and then he underperformed in the final couple of months of the season. And this Rangers team were too reliant at both ends, and they were very understaffed up top, weren't they? Which means that you really feel that Dessers probably isn't as sharp every single game because he's playing so many minutes. So what I would say, probably in agreement with you, Stevie's right. He's 29 years old. If Rangers can get the money back, if they can reinvest it, it would be a smart thing to do, and I don't think they would be too difficult to deal with. However, you still got a player there that since Clement came to the club, he scored about 20 of his 22 goals, I think, last season were under Clement. He's generally been a positive. He has his moments, but I think sometimes the issue has been, because it's just been him, he's not been rotating in and out with a striker, then the focus becomes all the more glaring on him. Can you rely on him to be your first choice striker over the course of a season in all competitions? I don't think so, no. Will he score goals over the course of the season if he stays? Yes, I think we saw that last season. And where I definitely agree with Stevie is that he has the mentality to play for Rangers, not just because he can take criticism and not just because he seems like someone who enjoys pressure as opposed to running away from it. And certainly the start he had at the club, as we've covered a lot in the past, was harder than most. But he does just keep going in a way that I don't think he's a player you watch, and when he misses a chance, that stays in his mind. I think that's gone right away. And he's just thinking about the next opportunity. Because sometimes he'll smile after he misses a chance, which obviously isn't always it's not the wisest, not the best PR move. But he just keeps going, doesn't he? He doesn't seem, and Clement chose to reference that last night. And when he doesn't really praise players individually that much, and he took it upon himself to do that last night when he said he takes on every piece of information. He's a player, we kind of told his career story at some point last year on the website. Maybe it was April, I think maybe May. And he's someone who's had to come through adversity a lot. He was released early, didn't even move to an elite club until he was very late into his teenage years. He's moved around a lot of clubs. He's used to not having it the easy way, and I think you see that in the way he comes back. So does he miss a lot of big chances? Can he be a really frustrating player to watch? Absolutely. Should Rangers only rely on him? No. But also, I think you've got to give him his due for what he has done, which is continue to be there, continue to get in good opportunity, continue to get in good areas, which is not a gimme. Chances don't just... There's a reason that chances fall to him, and it's because his movement, I think, is one of the best aspects of his game. And last night was obviously a good night for him, and he played a big part in creating that goal, and then was able to arrive into the box and finish off the move.
Yeah, great celebration as well, which I later found it was the Turkey shooter guy from the Olympics who's turned into the most famous man in the world. But great celebration, Cyril. Let's hope we've seen more of that going forward, kicking off on Saturday. Josh, I don't know if we've got this in yet, but I flagged this up. Ali says, any idea what the XG was for both teams last night? Is that dropped yet? That's usually something that drops at some point the next day.
I've been refreshing the feed, Ali, but nothing there yet. Didn't feel like a high XG. I mean, the Kyiv goal would have been a high expected goal chance because of the way it came about. But as Stevie said, it felt like there was a lot of transitions and probably a lot of entries into the final third, but not a ton of. Butland made a few good saves from distance. I thought actually the defence generally were pretty good. Suter gave the ball away on a few occasions in the first half. Liam Balogun, I thought, made the defence look steady. I think James Tavernier was much improved last night when compared to the weekend on and off the ball. Ridvan obviously made his mistake, which was costly, wasn't it? But we'll have more coverage of the game at some point today when the stats decide to turn up.
Yeah, just on the defence end, Stevie, this question from King Charles Spaniel. I've got to say, I was surprised I never seen him start yesterday. It says, when Proper comes in, who will he replace? So Saturday, I'm expecting him to start the game, Stevie. Surely he's settled in by now. I know the manager did say he had a lot of paperwork to fill in, had to fly back and forth from the Netherlands and Scotland, but he's been brought in to play. Who does he come in for?
At this moment in time, probably John Suter. Thought Leon Balogun was excellent last night. Very steady, very reliable, isn't he? He's got that wee turn of pace as well. Experienced head at this moment in time, with the kind of run of form coming up, you probably need that experience in as well. Although we do have a number of games at Hampden on the bounce, I would be looking to actually bring in Proper instead of Suter at the moment. I thought, shout out to James Tavernier last night. He's had a barrel load of criticism. I thought the criticism on Saturday of James Tavernier was slightly OTT, and this is what I wanted to say, and this will be unpopular. I think sometimes when a narrative gets in the head of Rangers fans and online, on anywhere, it's really difficult to shake. And James Tavernier being, a dud, is now the narrative. James Tavernier's had a really poor 6 months, but he's certainly not a dud. And he's capable of being a very good player for us. The question mark is whether or not he can rediscover that form. On Saturday, I thought that his one main mistake was Penrice maybe getting past him about 10-15 minutes in. But otherwise, I thought defensively he was okay. And he didn't really do much going forward, but he was always there to be able to receive the ball and get the crosses in and stuff. And people were saying he was garbage and everything else. I don't think that was fair. And it's got a wee bit like that with Philippe Clement. Philippe Clement doesn't have a style of play, doesn't have this, doesn't have that. Philippe Clement's garbage. There was people calling for him to be sacked last night before the team, or when the team was announced. And I just think it's dangerous, Derek. I think it's dangerous that we get into this kind of rhythm of constant negative criticism before it's even, decided. And this is what I mean by a narrative. Like, it's really easy just to say, James Tavernier's this, Philippe Clement's this. And I think we need to kind of look past it, especially in this run of games coming up where the team really, really need us. So that for me is a bit of an issue. So a shout out to Tav last night, because he's still getting up to speed. He's still trying to come into his game. And listen, I've not been his biggest fan. this year, as you know, and he's had moments. But you know, I thought we've not really come on to it, but I thought the manager's substitutions last night were spot on. You know, and people were criticising him when Barron came off, but I thought it was an ideal substitution because I thought he was knackered. I thought Diamandi was knackered as well. And both of them did a power of running, a power of football as well. And I felt sorry for Diamandi, actually. The times, Josh will know this better than me, when he talks about transition. I thought the times when he did transition well, Diamandi, he laid one off for Lawrence to get a 1-2. Lawrence took a snapshot and he dragged wide. That 4-on break where Diamandi was at the heart of it, making a good movement forward. Dessers passes it to absolutely no one. And I thought he was unlucky in that, Diamandi. He's always biting into challenges. He's a very good man marker, always following his man, working hard. And I think sometimes that's missed. And people are really easy to get on his back and say suddenly Diamandi's not a good footballer. Diamandi's an excellent football player.
Yeah.
If you get Sterling and Barron in next to Diamandi and possibly free him up a wee bit to be able to, you know, have more influence in the final third, I think you'll see what an absolute gem we have. But at the moment, he's having to do a power of running in midfield next to Barron, and particularly because the front three aren't maybe sticking the way they should be and retaining the ball. So I just think, Derek, there's a lot of things kind of flying about at the moment, which is ultra negative. And I think we have to try and be realistic about where we are. This first team needs a hell of a lot of work. I don't think anyone's kidding on, but I think it's also dangerous just to follow the narrative and rubbish absolutely everything. Rubbish the manager, rubbish the captain, rubbish this, rubbish that. I think we need to be a wee bit more braver in what we are saying about our players and about our team, because things do need to improve. Certain things need to get better. We need to see more from certain players, etc. All that's fair, but you know, we're not a rubbish team. We're a team very much in transition, and we're a team in the middle of a rebuild, which is going to get some additions in the coming weeks. And you just need to hope it all kind of pieces together. And I know that's, you know, it might sound whatever, but sometimes it's difficult dealing with, you know, the narrative that everything's absolutely terrible when I don't really believe it is.
Yeah, well said with regards to that. Lots of comments agreeing with you as well, Stevie. But Rangers earning a 1-1 draw last night in Poland. How's your day look, Joshua, now? Because Lublin is quite far, isn't it? I know that it's not exactly easy to get to, shall we say?
Yes, train back up to Warsaw and flying out of there tonight. So a bit of work and maybe see a bit of Warsaw because I've not been there before, and then get back home. But I think, as you say, Rangers they flew back last night, but I'm sure it will have been if they could have taken a 1-1 draw coming over.
Oh yeah,
they'd have taken it. There could be, I think I'm right in saying, 5 games over the course of just over 2 weeks at Hampden. They're not home game if Rangers get through the next
the League Cup as well.
And although it's not Hampden, it is still a home game. I think what Stevie's saying there is that Rangers need. They still need. Last night doesn't change the fact they still need quite a few starters, in my opinion, in that squad. You forget that Barron and Diamandi is a 21-year-old and a 22-year-old playing in midfield. I know Diamandi's quite an experienced player. There's a lot riding on their shoulders. You still need quality in a lot of positions, I think, and a lot of work done to that squad. If Rangers squad is in a stronger position come the end of the month, they need to get through August in as good a shape as they can. And I think last night was a step in the right direction after what was an underwhelming start to the season away at Hearts on Saturday.
Yeah, all roads now lead to Hampden on Saturday. Let's hope Rangers can get a victory against Motherwell. Right, that'll do us there. Big thanks to Stevie and to Joshua and to you all for tuning in as ever. You can read everything the manager had to say over on the website, folks, or watch his press conference in full over on the YouTube channel. Chris has also got an opinion piece there on Cyril Dessers on the website you can check out as well. Right, we'll speak to you later on. Until then, enjoy your Wednesday. Bye for now.